of the Maxine Tulloch Show.
Welcome to another very exciting edition of the Maxine Tulloch Show. Of course, we are traveling the Caribbean, bringing you the best of the Caribbean. And today we are in Saint Lucia with, of course, Mr. Allen Chastanet. I said it right.
You did.
Okay, welcome, welcome. And thank you for having us on this beautiful island.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you back.
Okay, I can remember you from Jamaica, Air Jamaica. And
Yes. Young boy then.
Young boy.
No gray hair.
No gray hair, but you're still handsome.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to talk about Saint Lucia. It's so beautiful. We arrived here, we were able to see the Pitons and the sulfur spring. Talk to us about, I know you have some exciting news that you're going to share with us later on, but in terms of the tourism.
Well, Saint Lucia is very, very blessed. I mean, I really think that we are the honeymoon capital of the Caribbean. We've won that award for 9 years in a row.
Okay.
And you know, the amount of celebrity weddings we've had here, the most recent one being Matt Damon, who just renewed his vows down at Sugar Beach, which is one of the newest properties here in Saint Lucia.
In Saint Lucia, okay.
And you know, everything about Saint Lucia is romantic. You know, all the hotels, the restaurants, the topography, and then when you were in Soufriere, which is really the tourism capital.
Oh yeah, Soufriere.
Soufriere.
Okay.
And you know, Soufriere has the Pitons, it's got the volcano, and we have now the mud baths. We've got mineral baths. The mineral baths are equivalent to the baths in Baden-Baden.
Yes.
And it used to be the breadbasket of Saint Lucia. And it was also, when we changed hands between the French and the British,
Right.
Soufriere was always the capital of the French, and Castries was the capital of the British.
But now Castries is the capital.
Castries is the capital.
What about, we heard something about the whole town being burnt?
Yeah, Castries had a very, very bad fire
Yeah.
in the early 50s.
Right.
And in fact, you know what's the
Was
irony?
it Castries or Soufriere?
Both of them
Both?
had fires, yeah.
Yeah.
But in the one in Castries, the buildings were built as temporary buildings, and they're still standing 60-something years later.
Wow, amazing. All right. Now, education. We wanted to know about the education because some country boasts that they're 98% literacy and all that. Education on the island.
We've got a great education system. I mean, obviously, resources are limited. So I think that given the resources that we have,
Yes.
that it's very, very good. It could be better. And I think that the whole Caribbean and probably even the world, that education is a challenge for everyone in terms of how do you make education more relevant to the needs of the country.
Right.
And I think that that's a gap that's been missing for a very, very long time.
Okay.
You know, a lot of our schools here really prepared people to be lawyers and doctors and accountants. But 95% of the people are going to be working in the service sector.
In the service, exactly.
You know, so I think things like multiple languages, I think that's where Cuba and the Dutch Antilles really have a huge head start on the rest of us in the Caribbean. When you go to Cuba, I think the average person speaks 3 or 4 languages, and the same thing in the Dutch Antilles. And here in our English-speaking Caribbean, we're still stuck with 1, you know, and yet we are meant to be the tourism capital of the world. So I think that we have some catching up to do when it comes to that.
Okay. And what's your, in Jamaica we say we speak patois. You have the same patois?
We have a patois.
A
which is-
patois.
Yeah, called Creole.
Creole.
Which is more familiar with the Haitian patois.
Okay.
And also they speak it in Martinique and Guadeloupe as well.
Okay, very good. Now, your main resource here is tourism,
Yep.
and then agriculture.
Yeah, I mean, agriculture's taken a beating, you know. We were
let's
in
talk
sugar.
on agriculture.
Yeah, we were in sugar for a long time, and then we converted over to bananas. And bananas did extremely well as long as we had the preferred trade agreement with the UK.
Okay.
And once the US supported
the banana.
Chiquita and everybody else,
Yeah.
and we've lost that preferential. We've seen now bananas decline, but I think that you're starting to see some new crops come out. So we're seeing a revival in cocoa. So the case of Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and Dominica, that we have not only good cocoa, but we have some of the best cocoa.
Okay.
So we're in the top 5% in quality in the world. We have a very interesting hotel project here called Hotel Chocolat, which is an English company that actually is called Hotel Chocolat, but they've never owned a hotel before. And they sell top-notch chocolate.
I was about to ask.
You can buy a chocolate bar probably about this big for about $90 US.
Really?
And they've opened up their first hotel, and they're actually in the process of actually building a chocolate factory. So for the first time, we will have in the Caribbean where we will grow the cocoa, and it will actually be processed here and then made into cocoa right here in Saint Lucia.
And shipped.
Yeah, and then shipped out abroad. So we're very excited about that potential growth. And I think that we've always spoken about the linkages to tourism. And the key is to make sure that you don't force those linkages, that it doesn't cause the hotel to be less competitive. So when you take a product that is not competitive and you charge a price that's too high. So for instance, I think that organic goods are really where tourists really see the value in organic products. But it means having to grow greenhouses because the seasonality is what kills us here. So all the farmers will tend to grow the same thing at the same time and always depress the price. So the idea really is to look at how we can revolutionize that and to create more agricultural linkages to tourism. If you go to Mexico and you go to Turkey, you really have to admire those two countries in particular in terms of how they've been able to integrate their tourism into manufacturing and into agriculture and into their arts and crafts and architecture and everything else. So there's a lot to be learned.
Okay, you touched on arts and craft, but I think when we get back from the break, we'll talk more about that and some of your good news. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Maxine Tulloch Show. Of course, we are in Saint Lucia, and I'm with the one and only Mr. Chastanet. All right, got it. I know you have a jazz festival coming up. Let's talk on the jazz first.
Well, jazz was started 1992, was our first jazz festival. When we started it, we had a very good relationship with BET.
BET?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
In fact, it was before Bob Johnson actually had made it public. So I'd met with Bob and we agreed to cover it. And you know, they were in 55 million households in those days.
That's right.
And they used to produce a 1-hour show that used to air sometimes as many as 4 times in a year. It then evolved into a relationship with Bet on Jazz. So BET became a little bit more mainstream and they created a specialty show called Bet on Jazz, which only had a 4 million viewership. And now we don't have any relationship with any TV. And in that almost 21 years of the festival, we've seen a lot of the islands now grow their own festivals. So, you know, Barbados had theirs, St. Kitts has theirs, Tobago had one.
And you said you started one back in Jamaica.
Yeah, man, we
with
started
Walter.
the Air Jamaica Jazz and Blues with Walter and Paxton Baker. The three of us got that off the ground. That was really an interesting time, and I'm just so happy to see how it's grown today.
Was that the first one?
No, Saint Lucia was my first one,
Uh-huh.
and then afterwards we did, when I went to Air Jamaica, we did the Air Jamaica Jazz and Blues.
Okay, so you were seasoned then.
I was seasoned, yes, and
good.
determined
To make this one.
to make it work. And you know, we chose jazz and blues because we felt that reggae was the blues music of the Caribbean. Correct.
Okay.
But you know, the real culture for me on this island in Saint Lucia is our heritage, and we have a special program that we've been working on. I'm so happy that the new government has agreed to continue that program as well, which is village tourism. So we have several villages here: Groselet, Ancillary, Cannery, Soufriere, all of them.
Okay.
And the idea was that we look at our past. So we have a Creole, which is African Creole. We have French Creole. We have British Creole. We have American Creole.
American Creole.
We do, because we used to have U.S. military bases here.
Oh.
So there was a strong American influence at some point.
So there's a little American with the English?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so the idea really was to help the villages define themselves through those eyes. So if, for instance, let's say you were French Creole.
Okay.
Your architecture, your food, and your arts and craft would all be within that genre.
Okay.
So the idea was that each town would specialize in a particular area. So whether it's African Creole, the other one is Carib Creole, Amerindian Creole, which is in our Choiseul and Micoud areas. So the goal there was that when you drove around Saint Lucia, you would see different things. So you drove around, the t-shirts are the same t-shirts regardless of where you go.
Yes.
But the idea would be now is that the t-shirts and the art and crafts and everything would change as you drove around, which would reflect the history of our island.
All right.
Okay, so again, I think that things like Carnival are a huge help in being able to develop, because in Carnival you're creating costumes and it's helping that skill set to be able to help develop and establish your arts and crafts.
Very good, very good. We saw some parade going on today. Parade.
Yes.
What is that? What's going on today?
Oh, I'm not sure.
That's all right.
We love to party here. So.
You love to party. You party every day.
Yeah. Well, the big thing that was happening here today was the throne speech. So we have the opening of our budget session here today.
I heard that. I heard that. So when we come back in the next segment, we're going to talk about your news that you're going to break on the Maxine Tulloch Show. Okay? Stay tuned. Of course, I'm here with Mr. Chastanet in Saint Lucia, and we will be right back. Welcome back. Now we know we have exciting news, and I'm so excited on the Maxine Tulloch Show because we have the pleasure of announcing that you're running.
Well, I made an announcement a couple of nights ago that I
Okay.
was seriously considering contesting the leadership of our party. Our party's convention is going to be in July.
The name of your party?
Is United Workers' Party.
United Workers' Party.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're basically a conservative party here in Saint Lucia.
Okay.
Uh,
Conservative.
Yeah.
And that would be relevant to what in America?
would be the Republicans.
Ooh, okay.
So
Tell
we're,
us.
we're closer aligned to the conservative movement.
Okay.
So we believe in lesser government.
Lesser government
Yes, we
interfering.
believe in the development of the private sector. But I would like to say that we definitely are a party of a very strong social conscience. So we believe that everybody should have free health care, and everybody should have as best of an education as possible. Because we think that in a developing country like ours, and considering our size and the cost of living here, that is only through a higher level of education that we're going to be competitive in the world. So we really strongly believe in those things, and that government ought to be putting in both a physical infrastructure as well as a policy-driven infrastructure to support the growth of the private sector. So we think that the private sector really should be leading the growth in that in the economy.
And less government.
Yeah, I think that we believe that government more for more, they should be the regulators and they should be the policymakers.
Okay.
But we believe in public sector, private sector partnerships. And we've seen that that's what works. And when you look at most of the countries right now in the Caribbean, they're engrossed in unbelievable levels of debt. Okay, and that they have not necessarily proven to be the best managers of the resources of the country. So we think that there's some changes that we need to be able to make. Our father, which was Sir John Compton, who really is considered to be the father of our country, really believed in those principles, and he had a very long tenure in office. He was over 40 years in active politics, and during his time is when we saw the greatest growth. And so those principles really worked well for Saint Lucia during the first debt crisis in the world, and I believe that they can equally work well in the crisis that we're facing today.
Okay, so I don't know how much you want to talk about the current government now and what's happening. Did you want to touch a little bit on it, because we really don't know, and most of our audience are not.
Yeah, I mean, what's driving me to get into politics
Right,
is the fact that we've really not seen the level of leadership and ideas of this present government. And what's sad is that this government was in power for 11 years previously, and we're out for 5 years. So it's not like to say that they're a novice party that's coming into power. The way I put it to a lot of people right now is that the world has changed, and from 2008, nobody could make any references to the past. We're in a new world, and it's a new world order. And I think that my encouragement by the people inside my party and outside my party to get involved is to bring a fresh approach to both how we manage ourselves as a party and also how we manage the economy. And we believe in teamwork and being more collective. So this idea of having this iconic leader is not something that I necessarily subscribe to. I think that it's too competitive in the world. There's too much to be done, and you really have to manage yourself as a team. But also that sometimes I think that parties become overzealous and therefore discriminated against the people who didn't vote for them. And you can't develop a country adequately or in the long term on that basis. While yes, there is always a benefit to your party being in power, but I think you have to look at it substantially more holistically. And what I always say to people is that the colonialization of today has become economics. And the difference is that during colonialization, there was a person you can appeal to, and even the hardest person would have some conscience. Economics, on the other hand, has no conscience.
Definitely not.
So when Pan American was going out of business, even though it was the first airline in the world and there were all these romantic ideas, it went.
It went, yeah.
When USSR couldn't succeed as a country, it broke up. The Berlin Wall went. Eastern Airlines is gone. IBM was on the verge by this upstart company called Microsoft. So we've got to recognize that people don't care. So aid money is out the window. America has its problems, the UK has its problems, Europe has its problems. And we need to be conscious of that, and that we need to take care of ourselves, which I think that the electorate needs to become more cognizant of the decisions that they're making and recognize that it can't be politics as usual.
Okay, and you're bringing that to your party. You're going to make the difference.
Well, you know, I think that we're going to make the difference. I think that I am associated to a group of people that I intend to work very closely with, and that to make sure that we have a manifesto in the party that reflects some of the things I've been speaking about, and then once we're in government, to be prepared to govern from day one. And as I said to people, I want to be part of a government that says, in spite of the problems in the world, we've done well, and not because of the problems in the world, we've not been able to do well.
Okay, we'll be right back with that. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. I am Maxine, of course, and we are in Saint Lucia. And we're going to wrap up with Mr. Chastanet at this point, talking about a little personal stuff on marriage, family. I always like to just find out a little bit more about you. I know a little bit, but...
Very happily married man.
Okay.
Saint Lucian wife, she's a lawyer. I've got 2 young kids. My daughter is 10 and my son's 6. So it's very exciting ages.
Yeah.
And you know, our party lost the last elections, and I took really a sabbatical for the year, and probably the best time I've ever had.
Oh, with the family? With
the family. I mean, you know, I remember when I used to travel, my kids would say, "Bye, Daddy."
Yeah.
And then about a week ago, I had to travel to go to Miami for something, and when I was leaving, my kids started crying.
Oh.
I said, well, we're going to miss you. Yeah. And so, you know, picking them up at school and being able to go to their extracurricular activities are kinds of things that you sacrifice when you're actively involved in politics. So I have to tell you that the year sabbatical was fantastic, but now I'm back to work.
You're back to work, ready to run this government.
Well, not only do that, but I mean, I'm involved in my family's business, which is the hotel business.
Right.
We also run a catamaran company, so we do tours to Soufriere.
Yeah. Don't you have a company called the Chastanet?
Well, that's a different company. That's a different strain of the Chastanet family.
Okay, yeah.
So we're actually the adopted side of that family.
All right.
And I'm also in the process of building a new hotel, which will be a joint venture with a European gentleman.
Okay. Where are you going to do that?
Right here in the marina.
In the marina?
Yeah.
Ooh, that we can see from the cruise ship?
No, from the marina here at Rodney Bay.
Oh, Rodney Bay. Okay. All right. I'm just remembering Rodney Bay. I think we stayed somewhere down there. We were all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Now, food.
Yes.
What's the food like here?
Food here is fantastic.
Okay, what's your national?
Well, we have saltfish and green fig. A lot of
green fig.
Yeah, green fig.
Green fig. You mean green banana?
Green banana.
Do you call it fig?
We call it fig.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, we do the accra, boudin, souse.
Souse, I know.
You know, so we've got a lot of our own foods. I mean, and when I was minister, well, actually before becoming minister, we established a culinary festival here called the Food and Rum Festival.
Food and rum, yeah.
And so the idea was to, you know, promote the things that we have.
Yeah.
And I think that really the hidden gem in the Caribbean is our food.
Yeah. And when is that?
It stopped, and I'm hoping they're going to revive it again. But we're actually here at my restaurant. We're going to do a Food and Rum Festival every month.
Every month?
Yeah. So the end of every month, we're going to be starting a festival here. And the idea is, look, we've got some of the most fantastic rums in this region. We've got some incredibly creative chefs. And we have, you know, the French Creole food. We've got the Jamaican food. We've got the Trinidadian food.
Okay.
We have the Dutch food. So, you know, we love spice. We love flavor.
Yes.
And I think that our culinary skills are improving, so our overall presentation of food is improving. Yeah. And it just excites me. I mean, and you know, I don't think that people truly appreciate how much food adds to a person's vacation.
Oh, yes, we do.
You know, it is the thing that people talk about the most, and it really can make a significant impact. And I think that, you know, we clearly have the ingredients, but I'm very happy with the work that the Caribbean Hotels Association has been doing with their culinary competitions, and we're seeing a stronger emphasis of it. And I think that the times are changing where we're now starting to see more Caribbean chefs being the lead chefs.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that we should ever isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. There's always so much more to be able to learn by bringing people in here and learning new techniques and everything else. But I think that we're finally getting there, and I think that the way that people think of New Orleans, or I think people might think of a New York City, or a London or a San Francisco in terms of a culinary side of it, I think that the Caribbean can become the best place in the world. Not one of the best, but the best.
The best. And on that note, we end this segment.
Well, thanks, Maxine. Thanks for being
Beautiful.
here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mwah. We do appreciate it. Thank you. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with another segment. Welcome back to the second segment of the Maxine Tulloch Show. So we are in St. Lucia, and we have a new guest on the show. And this, of course, is Lisa Charles, and she is the CEO of Milestone Development.
Right.
Welcome to the Maxine Tulloch Show.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to be here.
Oh, great. I'm so happy you took our invitation to talk a little bit about St. Lucia and about your business. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, we host motivational seminars here in St. Lucia. They're pretty much impactful. We're not just a regular seminar production company. We have a little twist to us where we do personal development, so it touches your heart as well. So if we wanted, we won't do shows like how to get rich soon or quickly, that sort of thing. We want to do something that touches your heart and that can make a positive change in your life.
Right. You were telling me earlier that you're doing a seminar that's coming up about spouse.
Yes, how to fight properly with your spouse.
How
Well,
to
that's
fight-
a perfect example.
Yes. How do you fight properly with your spouse?
Well,
Give us a little tip. Give our audience a little tip. We're miles away.
I know, I know. Well, you attack the problem and not the person. Oftentimes people when they get upset or angry, they lash out at the person because they're angry, but at the situation. They're not really angry at the person. So Dr. Arnold Mall, we flew him in from South Africa to give this talk, and he's actually doing a corporate workshop right now. And he teaches you how to fight with your spouse by attacking the issue and not the person.
And not the person.
And that's actually good for your friends or other family members, not just your spouse.
Yeah. But is there a technique that you use in order not to say, don't do that, and I don't think you do it, and because you did that yesterday? Is there?
Well, you know, he would have to give you that information. I don't want to reveal too much, but I don't know some of the tools that he uses, but all of his presentations are excellent.
Okay.
Like last night we had one on teenagers, how to cope with teenagers. So these are the kinds of things and seminars that we do.
That you do.
That can make a difference in people's lives.
Okay, beautiful, wonderful. All right, well, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, you're not native St. Lucian.
No, my parents are.
Your parents are.
But
okay.
I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada.
Okay, but you've been here 20 years.
20 years,
Okay.
yes.
Talk to me about St. Lucia.
I love it here. I don't think
It's
I would
beautiful.
leave. It is beautiful. I wouldn't leave here if you paid me millions and millions of dollars. I absolutely love this country.
Okay.
It is great to wake up every day, beautiful sunshine, beautiful sunsets. The people are great. It's a little different than a first world country, obviously, but then there's something to be said for a stress-free environment and waking up in a stress-free environment every day. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. I really wouldn't. And I also like waking up to, you know, in December, Christmas, with, you know, no hat and coat and boots and so forth.
No snow.
Exactly.
Okay, which you experience in Canada.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. All right. Now, in terms of tourism, because I know your office is located here.
Right. Yes.
Okay. What would you recommend tourists? You know, the high points here for tourists to see.
Oh, Jazz Festival for sure.
Right.
Jazz Festival is one of our. In fact, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. I always tell anybody who wants to come to St. Lucia that they have to come during the Jazz Festival.
And what time of year is that?
That's in May.
In May.
The first week of May, every year.
Okay.
You have a lot of celebrities come there to perform, and you know, they hang out in St. Lucia. Then, you know, they're not riddled with all these bodyguards and so forth as they do in the States, and maybe other parts of the world. And they're just, everything is cool. You might find them hanging out at the bar, you know, and just relaxing, shopping in the mall. You can bump into them. And the Jazz Festival is just such a nice environment. There are a lot of people on the island. Another time too would be Carnival, which is July.
July, okay.
The third week of July. That always is a great time to come. The island is
How
buzzing.
long? How long does that carnival period?
Well, a lot of activities start about 3 weeks prior, a month prior, but the actual day, it's 2 days of carnival.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2 days of carnival. And the jump up, the parade is fantastic.
The jump
it's a lot
up.
of fun. Yeah, I actually have my own section this year, and
You
I'm
do?
so excited, yes.
Do you all play mask?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
All right.
yes.
So you
I'm
have
quite
your
looking-
own.
my own section.
Oh,
Yes,
right,
it's affiliated
wonderful.
actually with Island Fantasy out of Miami, and they're partnering with Red International, and so we are managing the entire section. So we're going to be playing a lot of St. Lucian music and basically regional music. So a lot of
Okay.
Trinidadian music too, music you might hear at the Trinidad Jump Up.
Jump up.
Yeah.
Okay. When you say jump up, it's like, okay, I can remember them calling it jump
Yeah.
up, but you don't hear that very often.
I know, it's now Carnival.
It's Carnival,
Yeah.
but of course we're in St. Lucia, so it's jump up.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I think before I get into the next segment, we're going to take a break and come on
Okay.
back.
All right.
Okay? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Maxine Tulloch Show. Lisa is with me, and we continue to give you some more information about St. Lucia as we're sitting here in this beautiful Coco Palm Hotel.
Yes.
Okay, which houses your office.
Yes.
Very, very
Very
good.
nice place to have an office.
Yes, no wonder you don't want to go back to Canada. I wouldn't either. However, we had a tour of the island, and we went to the Pitons.
Oh yes.
The Petit
Beautiful.
Pitons and the Gros Pitons. Right. Now, we're saying, what is the main revenue source for people? What kind of jobs? Is it just tourism is the main?
It's mainly tourism,
Tourism?
yes.
Yeah.
We used to have bananas before, but now I think that's our main source of income to the island is tourism, definitely, and we've
Yeah.
gone full force into that, and customer service and that sort of thing.
Okay, all right. Now, when students, you're at the high school level and you're going to college,
Right.
you have a university on
In
the
St. Lucia, I think it's only first and second year you can do here. It's not a full-fledged university just yet, but
Okay.
I'm not sure about that. But I believe it's only year 1 and year 2.
Year two. And then if,
And then you would have to, it would be the University of the West Indies, so you would have to then go across to either Barbados or
Jamaica?
Jamaica.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And what's typical though? They do go to the universities and then return to St. Lucia, or
That's
they
right.
take off to the States?
Most time they return to St.
St.
Lucia. I
Lucia.
think if people are generally going to study something outside of the region, they then look to go to Canada,
Canada,
or
yeah.
England or the US.
Okay, all righty. Okay, we wanted to talk about real estate.
Okay.
If one wanted to invest in real estate here, what would you say and what would you recommend?
My house is for sale. And it's a lovely house with a lovely view.
Really? In what city or village? Where?
Actually, it's at Shock Estate. It's a beautiful panoramic view of the whole island. It really is a lovely house.
Then why you want to sell it?
Well, it's just gotten too big for us right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one son who's going away to school, and so, I
Yeah.
don't think we need that sort of space anymore. So.
But he wants to come back, I'm sure.
No, well, he can come back on his own.
On his own, not at your expense.
That's right.
You're not a good mommy. You're a bad mommy.
No, but there's a lot for sale here,
Yeah.
and beautiful, beautiful homes. The homes
Okay.
here are just gorgeous. A lot of people come here, build homes, and they live away, and they
Okay.
rent them out. And I guess for whatever reasons, they sell them after a while. But they're beautiful, beautiful properties here.
Okay, all right. I mean, we haven't had a chance to do any sea sports or what? What
Oh,
do you do?
there's-
Sailing?
There's sailing, there's kite surfing, there's water skiing, there's, oh, you name it, they have it
They have it?
here. Oh, absolutely. You can do anything pretty much that you would want to do in the Caribbean on the sea here in St. Lucia. Oh, yeah.
All right.
And on most of our beaches here. Absolutely, yes.
All right. Now, being it's so mountainous, hills and valleys and mountains and all of this stuff, reminds me of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because Jamaica is very mountainous too. Golf course. I didn't see much golf course.
We have one
Yeah.
major golf course in
Yeah.
Cap Estate, and there's another one, Sandals, has a golf course at La Toc, so which is just past town. I think you came in, you docked in the harbor there,
the
so
harbor.
it's just past, a little past where you came in.
Okay.
But there are two.
There are two.
There are two, yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, I just thought I'm going. I want to golf, but I'm saying these hills, Where are you going to go? Oh,
Yeah,
nails? No? Okay. All right. We're going to take a break and come back.
Okay.
Stay tuned. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the final segment of the Maxine Tulloch Show. We're going to wrap it up with Lisa Charles at this time. And she's been such a gracious hostess. And I thank you.
You're welcome.
And you told us quite a bit on the personal level of St. Lucia.
Yes.
Now, tell us more about your business. You mentioned that there's another portion of your business that you do here on the island.
Yes, well, we're just about to launch Milestone Meetups, which is pretty much a spin-off of a very large women's symposium we had a couple years ago where Star Jones was the keynote speaker, and that was an amazing day. It was a day for women to be inspired, to sort of share ideas and share their stories and listen to other people's stories. So that is a very expensive event to produce. So I think, you know, I want to be able to offer something to the public and to women specifically. So we decided to do it once per quarter. And it's going to be called Milestone Meetups. And it will be a place where we will have women networking, inspiring each other, listening to a motivational speaker. Just a place for women to give back and to feed off of each other, because we really don't have anything like that here in St. Lucia, so I think it'd be very nice. And I want to also sponsor the Upton Garden Girls Center, which is, any proceeds that come from that will go towards the Upton Garden Girls Center. They are a center that rehabilitates girls, takes them off the streets and so forth, and rehabilitates them. Oh, absolutely, yes. So I think that's important, because these are the girls that are being put right back into our community. And, you know, pretty much stable, so to speak. So we
is it a home?
It's it's a home.
An actual home.
It's an actual home, and they're funded, but they don't always. These sorts of organizations, they never have enough funds. So I really would like to help them, and I think the meetups would be a good place to start. And we actually are going to launch that in June of this year, and it'll be a free event, but it'll be somewhere where the women can come and sort of get ideas from each other and inspire and motivate each other, because I really think we need that here.
Well, in saying that, women business owners here in St. Lucia, how difficult it is for them to start and run a successful, obviously you're running a very successful business, and you know what you're doing, and you're able to get things done, and you're bringing some value to the business in the, community here. How difficult is it for other women? Is it quite, you know, what would you
I think
say?
It's still, I mean, I hate to say this, but I think it is the truth. It's still a man's world in that sense that, you know, if you demand certain things, you're called the B word. So, as a woman, but if a man says the exact same thing, he's powerful and that sort of thing. So there's a big difference. I mean, you know, in that sense. So you have that mountain to climb, so to speak, and it is harder. But it depends on how determined you are. If you are very determined, you can get where you want to.
Like
because
you.
we have, well, yes, I'm very determined and driven. But there are some very successful women here. And we have, in fact, through the workforce, there have been so many more women in the workforce now as opposed to maybe even 10 years ago. You know, we have a lot of good women business leaders here in St. Lucia, which I'm quite proud of.
Your mayor, is it your mayor or your governor?
Our Governor General.
She is.
Exactly.
She is that she.
Yes, and that's very impressive.
Yes.
She's been in that position for many, many years.
For many, many years?
Yes,
Okay. We had the delight of seeing her home, but we weren't able to meet her. She was in Parliament, I guess, today.
Oh, okay, yes. It's a beautiful house.
Yes, it is.
Yes. She just hosted a charity event, a hat party, which was quite nice. Yes, everybody had to go in hats.
In hats,
so
a teapot.
Yes, it was tea party.
Okay, very good, very good. Elisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For being on the Maxine Tulloch Show and for sharing St. Lucia with us and with our audience.
Thank you, you're quite welcome.
Okay, and thank you for joining us. Join us again next time as we bring you Antigua. From this beautiful island of St. Lucia, we leave the Pitons, the sulfur spring, saltfish and green banana, and the beautiful people of St. Lucia and the warm hospitality. We say thank you, St. Lucia, for having the Maxine Tulloch Show here today. See you next time.